Hello everybody and welcome to this week's episode of ARW Weekly in association with painsolutionslim.co.uk. Joining me this week I've got Phil, I've got Jonathan and I've got Arron. Lads, there's only one thing people want to start talking about tonight and that's Phil Coutinho. And Arron, I haven't spoke to you in a while so I'm going to give you first dibs on this one, mate. What's your take on this whole situation? Is he going? Is he staying? Does Klopp want him to stay? Do FSG want him to stay? What's your feeling?
I just think it's too late in the window, if I'm honest with you. I think it's too late. I think maybe if this had happened in June, July time, we could have said bye to Coutinho by now, and who knows. And probably it's a blessing in disguise that the Neymar decision probably might have happened. I still think Barcelona would have came in for him anyway. But I just think, looking at Jurgen Klopp's stance of things, I think Jamie Carragher summed it up perfectly for me. If Coutinho goes, there's a riot at the club. Liverpool fans will go absolutely potty, including me. He is key to this here. I've seen a lot of fans saying we can cope without him, and do you know what? We probably find a way. We might have had that same bit of creativity, but in that game against Hoffenheim the other day, or even against Watford, he would have been a little bit of class and might have made the result that a little bit different. I just can't see Jurgen Klopp signing off and letting him go this late in the window. I just can't see it. Maybe if he got Cater, it might have been different. I don't know, but I just can't see it. Can't see it at all.
I'm honestly all over the place with this one, Arron. 1 minute I think he's staying, the next minute I think he's going. Then you hear Barca coming out and saying one thing. Oh, by the way, thanks a lot for joining us tonight, Arron. I know you were out hobnobbing for dinner and you're just back in the door after bumping into Liverpool royalty out there for dinner.
I did, yeah. I met obviously Salah out in the street. Very nice guy, I have to say. A lot of credit to him. I mean, you know, footballers these days, there's a lot of... For the public to get in touch with any of them, it's miles away now, isn't it? The difference between being able to bump into any of your stars these days is miles away. But no, really nice fella. Stopped, constantly smiling. I even said to him, up the Reds. He was like, yeah, up the Reds. And he left it at that. But really, really nice guy. But in terms of that, I think even for Liverpool now, we are in a better position that actually if Coutinho does go, at least in that front three, we've got Mane on one side, Salah on the other. That is a massive bonus for this club. The window hasn't been great. But Salah has been a fantastic addition. Let's not lie about that. And Mane, I'm not being funny. If I was Barcelona and you want a player that's a bit like Neymar, I don't know why you wouldn't be looking at Mane rather than Coutinho, really.
Yeah, we talked about this the other night and we were saying...
Banned this. Do you not know this?
That's banned.
Just don't give them any ideas.
Yeah, they're not allowed. We're bigging up Moreno.
Keep it on the hush.
That's what we're doing now. We're bigging up Moreno. Phil, you've heard what Arron has to say. He thinks that... there's no hope of him going, but that Mane is vitally important to us this season. But just to pull back on the other point he made about Salah, what an astute signing for the money that we're after getting him for in this window. Like, it's gone crazy and we're after picking him up for the mid-30s.
Yeah, they're saying like 35, 36, don't they? So yeah, do you know what? Salah's a cracking signing, and I think he makes our defence absolute. Our defence, got defence on the brain.
We don't have a defence, Phil.
Keeping me awake at night. No, there's no defence for that defence, I can assure you. No, we've got our attack is terrifying now, aren't they? Let's be perfectly honest. And it doesn't really matter who you play in that central role either, be it Bobby, be it Sturridge. Actually, it kind of matters if it's Origi, but that's another story. But in terms of the pace and being able to mix it up, it's pretty cool. Do I think Phil Coutinho is going to leave? I'm probably in the same camp as you, if I'm honest, mate. I think there's so much going on and I don't know, 1 minute I'm thinking he's gone, next minute I'm thinking he's not. What is weird for me about this one, and I can't quite put my finger on why I feel this way, but it's not upsetting me as much as it did when Torres left or when Suarez left. I'm not actually as arsed. Now, don't get me wrong, he's a big loss. I'm not saying Phil Coutinho is not going to be a big loss to the squad because he is. He's a cracking player. But I just don't see him as arsed, and I can't quite put my finger on that. Maybe it's because of the way it's been handled and it's not happened all suddenly. I still stick with the fact that whether or not it will happen, I don't know. I just want FSG to show some balls for once. Just for one transfer window when a top club comes in for your best player. Don't be a spineless shit. Actually keep hold of him. Just once. Just show yourself you can do it. Just show yourself once that you don't have to be a sellout. That's all I want from them. John Henry, if you're listening, which of course you're not. Grow some fucking balls. Seriously, just say no.
Just say no, Jonathan. That's advice that we give to everybody. Just say no.
Exactly. Just say no to minions.
Absolutely.
Jonathan, there's a question came in from one of our listeners, and I actually it kind of goes along what we're talking about here of FSG and what Phil raised. John Kennedy wants to know, is the Liverpool business model based on the Arsenal Spurs model of top 4 will do and fuck the rest?
It's a good question. And we don't really know the answer to that yet, because we've only been in the top 4 once.
I was going to say, if it is, it's not working.
Yeah, we've only we've been in the top 4 once, and we had a shambles, and it went to shit for a couple of years. Maybe we can come back next year and have a better idea how things go. Look, you can get into FSG, you can talk all day about it, but I do think their model was based on FFP being implemented, and I think they have been found out is too strong of a word, but their business model that they had planned, and I think all the little tricks that they had planned to come out have been distorted because FFP hasn't been implemented. It's a big couple of weeks left in the transfer window. It's really going to make a decision really on FSG, what sort of way they're going to remember it. Really, it's a huge couple of weeks. It could go like I'm hoping that we're here in a couple of weeks' time. The window's closed and we've kept Coutinho. We've got Van Dijk or maybe Keita, and then everyone's happy again. I would like to see. What I'd ask is, I'd like to see the negative hysteria that's been the last while. If they manage to stick to their guns, we don't know if they will or not, but if they do, wouldn't it be great just to see that positivity? They'll be back and we just concentrate on playing football again? Because I don't know, I just get bogged down with the whole off-field stuff at the moment. Just want to go back and just watch us play some football again.
If that happens, that window that you've just said, if that window happens, I think most Liverpool fans, if not all Liverpool fans, would be pretty happy. There'd still be some that'd be moaning that we didn't do it earlier, and but there's a lot then to get excited about.
Well, there'll be a lot of humble pie that have to be ate as well. To be fair, but I get the impression even Klopp is kind of just cheesed off about the whole situation as well. Like, he keeps on saying repeatedly, "Look, I wish the transfer window was closed now, and I'd be happy with the business." So by that, he kind of means, I would imagine, just to keep hold of Phil. I think it has to be.
Well, he's a good mate of yours now, isn't he? After that question, so what's he telling you on?
We're all good, buddies.
We're not talking about this question again. Jesus Christ! All he's short of doing is getting it tattooed. 3 minutes 49 seconds.
Just get a t-shirt. I was there. Yeah, but that kind of started the whole thing. I think I have to say, really, didn't it?
Yeah, you started the whole transfer window. all of this drama is because of you.
Yeah, Jonathan, you're a cunt. Face it. It's all down to you.
I know that.
You and John W. Henry can go fuck yourself.
Yeah, it's okay. I have my yacht to sail away. Look, we need to get back and concentrate on football again. Let's hope that we keep hold of Phil, actually, which is huge, because there's no money in the world that's going to be any benefit of now just sitting our balance sheet.
You mean Phil Coutinho, not this gobshite on the other end?
I was going to say thanks, mate. I'm feeling the love right now.
Don't worry, I'm trying to run him out the door as quick as I can.
There's no money in the world that could get rid of me.
I'll just have to buy an extra rig minion then, won't I?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. For all our listens here, I better give them a heads up. Phil has the biggest life-size minion I've ever seen in my life, and it's freaking the hell out of me here on his webcam. But he definitely looks like he could get a run in our team centre half, because he'd definitely get rid of some of those headers.
Oh, definitely.
He tried to say it was for his daughter's birthday, by the way, and it's been there for about a fortnight now. So
it must be a month later at this rate, isn't it? He's keeping it.
It was there for my daughter's birthday. Now we've got a bit of a thing going on. So,
Arron, you heard what the two lads have had to say. I need to talk to somebody sane and rational for a minute.
Will we pass on the menu?
Have we got anyone?
I think it doesn't help at the moment either. The Barcelona have clearly put a lot of pressure on Phil. I think Gerrard summed it up very well the other night. That they're basically telling him, if you don't come this year, you're not coming. And unfortunately, we are in an era where it's mainly the South American players, and most players, you can't really say no to Real Madrid or Barcelona. But for me,
watched Barcelona last night.
That's what I was just going to say. It's getting easier.
But it's got worse, because Luis Suarez is now out for a month, isn't he? He's been injured for a month, so now Barcelona they've got to do something because I think PK said for the first time in 9 years he felt inferior to Madrid. That was a Real Madrid without Cristiano Ronaldo last night. Let's not forget that. And Asensio was absolutely stunning, wasn't he? But I think Barcelona are panicking, and I think at the moment, if I was Coutinho, if only, but looking at that last night and looking, Barcelona after losing Neymar, after Suarez being out, Messi's got maybe, I know he's got 4 or 5 years left still, but you're always going to be in a shadow. That's why Neymar's left. Neymar's left Barcelona because he wants to come out of Messi's shadow. So does Coutinho want to go over there and just be just another player that lets Messi take the show and Suarez take the show? Or, like Klopp said, he can stay at Liverpool and have a statue built after him. We worship the guy. We absolutely love Philip Coutinho. We love him here at Anfield. And I think the way that you guys have summed up the window, and I think John said, obviously, a lot of fans aren't happy with it all. And I think this is the problem. Because we're not happy with the window, we're then not happy with performances, and it's a negative vibe around this club. Why on earth are a lot of our fans moaning that we've beaten Hoffenheim 2-1 against a team that haven't lost since 2016 in May in their own ground? Because we should be made... We
didn't announce 3 signings at half time. That's why.
Exactly. This is the problem. There's so much negativity around the club and the way that it's all being dealt with that actually...
Are people moaning about the victory?
Yeah, people are moaning that we only won 2-1. And the funny thing is, Hoffenheim, any German team at home, to come away with a result there, I'm made up with. I couldn't have been happier. I know we conceded the late goal. It was a bit of a kick in the teeth. But actually, we conceded a penalty after 10 minutes. And we came back and we've won the game 2-1. I'm happy with that.
How shit was that penalty, by the way?
Oh,
it's worse than our fucking transfer window. This is what I mean. I think for us at the moment, there's so much negativity going on. Liverpool fans do need a boost. And whether it's saying, right, Coutinho needs to get back in training, I think all of a sudden, all of us will then have a boost. How real was his back injury? How real is it? No one has a clue what's going on.
A back injury.
No one has a clue what's going on, do they, really?
No, Phil has not got a back injury. Phil has got a sore vagina because he's sat at home whinging.
If Southampton...
Barcelona.
If Southampton can have the stones to say Van Dijk isn't for sale and they're a mid-table team, why on earth can't we have the balls to say, do you know what, Barca? If he has a good year this year, we'll talk to you next year. But for right now, you can fuck off and we'll meet you in the Champions League.
Just playing devil's advocate, how do we know that they haven't said that? Because they're saying that publicly.
Well, here's a
so we don't
that's a
actually
question
know
that
they haven't said.
From an Anesh. Anesh at Red 7 asked that exact question. Do we think that there might be a rift between Klopp and FSG over this issue?
I do.
Yeah, I'd heard very similar. But I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Things move on daily, particularly with the transfer market closing to an end. So, if Klopp has said, listen, this isn't happening, I've made my point very clear on this, don't put me in this position where decisions have to be made one way or the other, or opinions have to be formed based on you selling a player that I've said isn't for sale. For me, you then wonder what the next reaction is. So if you've got any brains, the next reaction for FSG is, well, we can't sell him then. So if you can't sell him, you're not going to continue to negotiate, are you? You're going to say, sorry, Barca, it's not happening. Manager and chemistry and everything else is too important to us. Phil stays, whether you wanted to sell him and pocket the money or not. But we don't know that that's not being said. So Southampton are saying it. Well, the papers are saying the same thing about us saying it. So I don't know whether you can say definitively that Southampton have said it and we haven't. I think you could make an argument for both. It could just be PR shit. It could be just playing games. It could be people just assuming that that's what's being said. People reading too much into what somebody said in a post-match press conference. I mean, we've all read articles that have been loosely based around 4 words a manager said that were taken out of context so they could write an article about it. So I don't know. I mean, maybe they have said that to Barcelona. Maybe they've just said, off your trot. He's not for sale.
There's a lot of bullshit going around as well, isn't there? With Jurgen Klopp apparently saying that if the window's shut, he'd be happy to take the squad that we've got going in for the rest of the season. That's bollocks.
It has to be
absolute bollocks. How can you say you want Van Dijk, you want Keita, but then apparently we don't get them? Actually, do you know what? Actually, come to think of it,
James Milner and Lovren are good.
Yeah, do you know what? I feel a bit sorry for Lovren sometimes, I have to say. But in terms of everything else, you can't say you've tried to sign 2 players, which is obviously 2 positions that you've identified as needing help. Not getting the players that you need and then going, actually, do you know what? Yeah, do you know what? We're good to go, actually. We'll be all right for the season. It's bollocks. Absolute bollocks.
Yeah, but the alternative to that is he can't very well come out before the season especially if we're not that close to signing them and saying, if we don't sign these players, we're fucked. Because then if we don't sign the players have got to go into the rest of the season knowing the manager just said we're fucked and you're not good enough. And the fans are going into the season. Which you know what I mean? So he can't very well come out and go, oh, we are so screwed, can he?
You got to bear in mind with everyone that's saying anything, whether that's the player, manager, owner, chief executive, whatever, everything they say in the media has a PR spin on it.
Absolutely.
People have to get that in their heads, because I'm sick of going on Twitter after a press conference or whatever. A manager says this and that, and next thing there's hysteria and everything believes it. Like if the player is for sale, you're not going to come out and say, oh yeah, he's for sale, and just knock 10-20% off the negotiations. Like when are people ever going to realize? I'd like to ask one question to you guys. Now, I'm a hugely biased Liverpool supporter, as you will know, but I genuinely don't think it makes sense for Coutinho to join Barcelona this year. I really don't.
Where's the fucking question?
Sorry?
Where's the fucking question?
But like some people are saying,
the question is, what is a question?
Like they're like, anyone that watched the last Super Cups, that new coach, can't remember his name offhand, but he's getting sacked.
Ernesto Valverde, isn't it?
Yeah, he's not going to last till Christmas. There's no way. They're shambles. They're not going to Real Madrid. They're miles and miles and miles ahead of them. There's a lot better teams in Europe than them as well. They look like us a couple of years ago. They're slow, sluggish. They try to play press and high up the pitch, and then they just get done on the counter each time. Apart from the nice weather, I don't see the attraction.
Right.
I really don't.
Was there a question in there?
I'm still waiting for the fucking question. I want to ask you guys a question.
I get it. Now the question is, does it make sense for Coutinho to join Barcelona? And no, it doesn't.
No.
Do you know what? If Real Madrid came knocking, you'd have to say, do you know what? I get it.
Yes, absolutely.
I get it. Even if Bayern Munich came knocking a bit, I know it's German football and the league's a bit of a ride. Do you know what? Yeah, I get it. You want to win the Champions League. Barcelona at the moment, I was stunned over the 2 legs watching them. Stunned. I thought they were woeful. Absolutely woeful. There was not one part of them that I actually thought, do you know what? These are going to be a threat this year. In a weird way, out of all the top teams we could get in the Champions League group stage if we make it, sounds balmy. I'd take them. I'd take Barcelona, especially if it doesn't look like there's a lot of. I think there's a lot of unrest at the moment there at Barcelona. And they've lost some key players now. You got to remember, even Dani Alves at right back. I know he left a couple of seasons ago, but that was a big loss. That was number 1. Neymar's now gone. For them, I think it's a new age. I think they're in a transitional period, aren't they? Lost manager, lost key players. That's that.
Did anyone see the Paulinho introduction video today?
Yeah, I fancy me chances of keeping uppies against him now.
That's what tells you though. If Paulinho was 40 million, you couldn't even get minutes at Tottenham, and he's, let's be honest, playing in China, which is basically playing walking football. How on earth did we get Salah for 35 million?
For Tevez, it genuinely is walking football. Have you seen any of Tevez in China?
I can't believe he missed the game to go Disneyland. He actually missed the game, didn't he, to go Disneyland? It's shocking. 40 million on that.
There was genuinely a bit, I can't remember what game it was, but there's a bit that I'm watching the game and I realised that Tevez is stood near the halfway line with his hands on his hips, just having a nosy around the crowd like he's mooching around the shops.
Full on Jan Mulby these days, like.
He's just looking around like, yeah, there's a fucking ball. Okay, yeah, go get it then.
The one thing I will say with Coutinho, and this is the bit that I am a bit confused with really, he did sign a new 5-year deal. Now, if he had intentions of leaving in that 5-year deal, you would have said, wouldn't you? Right, I want a sell-on clause, a sell-out clause.
We Jonathan and I covered this before. He can't read English, so
yeah, he clearly can't. And if I was him, I'd be going to my agent now, really, and saying, "You fucked me up here. Yeah, you have fucked me up here because if he just had a buyout clause, this could have been all settled. He wouldn't have had a leg to stand on.
You know what
he
the
didn't
funny
put
thing
that in
is?
His contract.
If he had a buyout clause, it probably would have been somewhere around the 75-80 mark because that seemed ludicrous last summer.
Yeah, exactly.
Or last year. Whereas
right.
this year we're like turning our noses up at 90. It's crazy. What gets me about Barcelona is the biggest issue I think at Barcelona is Messi on the wane? Is he on the downscale? Like, is his career winding down? Like, Ronaldo has reinvented himself to a degree as a centre forward, or a poacher.
Are we talking about the abs advert, or are we talking about on the pitch?
The abs advert is one of the most cringy things I've ever seen him with. 6 pack. It's one of the most cringy things I've ever seen.
The fat guys like me looking at Ronaldo's abs going,
I'm sorry, but
this machine.
that goal in the Super Cup, though. I know we don't really want to talk about Ronaldo, but for me, that was absolutely sensational, weren't it?
Do you know what got me about that the most, though, Aaron? And it's something that's pissed me off for ages. This fucking getting booked for taking your top off nonsense.
Oh, it's crap.
It's understandable if they have a political message underneath on a T-shirt or something. But if they
when Bentner got fined for having bet 365 on his boxes, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Anything like that is fine. But if you're scoring a goal that put your team through to a final, won a cup, won you the league, saved you from relegation, whatever it might be, your human reaction and what fans want to see is that it means as much to those players as it does to us in the stands. And to see them penalised for showing that passion, I think is a disgrace.
The worst one's when they jump in with the crowd. When they jump in with the crowd, they get
see that I get more than the shirt thing.
I get it.
I'm slightly put off with the fact that Craig is really passionately upset about the fact that more men don't take their shirt off on a weekly basis.
Well, when they got abs like that.
But what's that machine, isn't it? It's Ronaldo's
when we
machine.
play fucking Newcastle, I have to look in their section and see fucking fat balded men in the middle of winter with their tops off. Apparently that's fine.
Shelby with his top off is not what I'm going for, though, at any point in my life.
That's usually when it's strung over his shoulder as he's walking down the tunnel after a red card.
After half an hour.
But no, I get the jumping into the crowd thing. I do get that. And do you know what? That, for me, shows more passion than taking your shirt off. But that being said, I also understand the security risks that come with that and everything else. So sometimes you just want to go and dive into the crowd. I get that, but those days are gone for the safety of both the players and the fans. So I understand that being penalised, but I'm not really fussed if players take a shirt off. I'm not passionately upset about it like you, Craig. But
well, it's ridiculous when it leads to a scenario like Ronaldo getting sent off. Like, I hate Ronaldo. Don't get me wrong. I despise him.
Ronaldo just needs to learn not to throw himself to the floor because if he didn't,
that's another thing now. Why are we at this phase? Why are we at the stage where if it's not a penalty, it has to be a booking? Why can't there be momentum, or why can't there be an in-between? There has to be a grey area. Things can't be that black and white.
Yeah, true.
So
there was enough contact to send somebody down, but not enough that it was deliberate contact to send them down.
Like, what if he jumps over the keeper? If the keeper's coming out now and he jumps over the keeper, is that suddenly diving because he didn't stand there and put his studs into the keeper?
But that's another one. Tackles these days aren't just about whether they're making contact, or whether they're impeding a run. Like if you saw Trent's run against Hoffenheim where he skinned free, knocked it past one and the guy dived in, and he had to jump over the tackle because the guy's lunged, but the referee didn't give it because he said there was no contact. If Trent had just ran into it, he could have snapped anything. The guy tried to break him in half, but apparently that wasn't a foul. And that Bjorn Kuipers, by the way, whatever his name is, he's a knob and all. You know, we were talking about referees a couple of weeks ago. He was a grade A bellend in. Telling you now, he's a grade A bellend.
He gave us nothing.
He gave us nothing. And I tell you what, I've got a question now for you then. I know we're not really talking about the Hoffenheim game, but it made a lot of sense to me. Is Mane more important than Coutinho this year?
Well, yes, one, because he's fucking playing at the minute.
He actually wants to be here, so that's a big plus.
Yes, because we all seen what happened. Like, I think it's easier to buy creativity from midfield or to bring creativity into midfield than it is to find that blistering pace and creativity and goal scoring ability that Mane has. For me, this season, if I had to lose one of the two, it's bye Phil, definitely. What about you, Phil?
Yeah, no, I agree. I really like Coutinho. I've got a lot of time for Coutinho, but I just like the fact that... Do you know what the problem was last season for me, other than the fact that Mane was injured a lot and all that kind of stuff, was even when he was playing, teams were learning how to defend against him. Now, he's quick enough and tricky enough to get past people, so he was still doing a decent job. But it was almost a given that everything was going down that side of the pitch last season. And people knew how to defend against that. You know, you just double up on that side of the pitch and all that kind of stuff. And it wasn't predictable as such, because as I said, he still got, you know, a kit bag there to pull some tricks out of and get past people. But I just feel him on one side and Salah on the other, it poses a completely different issue and a different risk for the defenders and the midfielders trying to deal with them. And I think because of that, we'll actually see more and better of Mane this season, because not everybody's sat watching him. They're watching Phil got Phil on the brain. They're watching what Mo's doing on the other wing. So yeah, I think he'll be a very important player for us this season.
Just before I come to Jonathan, Aaron, I want to come back to you and ask, how do you feel about Mane having to be relocated to suit Salah?
Do you know what? I think all it tells me is how good of a player Mane actually is. Because he played down one side all season and done a very good job for us. He's been asked to move, and I didn't like it to begin with because I thought, hang about, you've got a left footer playing on the right wing and a right footer playing on the left wing. It just shows we're going to be coming inside all the time. That goal against Watford didn't get enough credit for what he deserved. He had the ball a lot before the match of the day highlight shows it, where he shielded one player, knocked it off, played it to Chan, made a run, went in behind. The finish, that finish that he scored with Mane, you know, he bent his foot around that. You could easily just try and play it safe and try and slip it through the keeper's legs or just try and bend it. He just thought, I'll just slam this top bins. Easily slammed it top bins. Against Hoffenheim as well. I know he's been a bit relocated, but have you seen him popping up in different areas of the pitch? Popping up down the middle. Trent's goal that he scored came from Mane getting taken out. That's where it came from. It's from where the guy.
And that was a bloody good run as well.
It was from goal. And I think I listened to the Liverpool commentary on the LFC TV the next day, and he was saying it could have been a red card because Mane was in. He was through. It was gone.
I think if it wasn't for the fact there were another couple of defenders back, he would have been gone.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Mane is absolutely vital. And like I say, I have the honour really of going to watch Liverpool play at Anfield most weeks, and I have to say, Mane sometimes is worth the admission fee on his own. And actually, if he had been fit more last season, don't forget when we had our slump in January, Coutinho played in a lot of those games. I know he's coming back from injury.
You could say that about Phil as well. Phil alone is worth the entrance fee on his day.
He can be. But does having Mane in the team allow Coutinho to have that extra bit of space for the magic to happen? Because when Mane wasn't in that team, Coutinho struggled. Is it that Coutinho needs those players around him to create that energy and space, which is what Mane gives him?
Interestingly, talking about other players needing other players, I've often felt that Bobby plays better when Phil's on the pitch. Now, Bobby's a good player anyway, but he doesn't look the same player when Phil isn't there. Maybe it's the Brazilian thing, maybe it's because they grew up in youth football together. I don't know, but they've just got... They're on each other's wavelength, aren't they? Yeah, they have the chemistry. They know what's going on with each other, and sometimes Bobby isn't the kind of guy that if he gets frustrated, his head drops and he just wanders around. He just starts charging around the pitch like a bit of a bull in a china shop sometimes. But he'll always keep running and he'll keep working unless he gets knackered.
He's very intelligent as well in how he moves around the field. He drives defenders with him and he opens space for others.
He's very, very smart. But that's what I love about him from Phil's perspective. Because actually, if you look at a couple of the special goals that Phil has scored, and I was doing this the other day because I have no life. I was watching a load of Phil's goals. Whilst crying and
climaxing.
Yeah, exactly. And but do you know what was quite surprising, pleasantly surprising, was how many times that space opened up for him to curl that ball in because of Bobby's run. That was actually quite surprising. It was quite nice to see because obviously when you're watching the game live, you're focusing on the ball and when it's hitting the net, you're not really focusing on other players' runs and where everybody is unless they just so happen to catch your eye. But when you actually just watch what Bobby does during those occasions, it is a very good point. It is really interesting to see how many times he's opened up the space for him.
Next time you're at the game and you're sat up high, just take a couple of moments and watch Bobby's movement. It's absolutely incredible. Or watch back a game with the overview camera so you can see the tactical side of the game. For anyone that's into tactics or anything like that, just watch Bobby's movement, and it's totally underrated. It frustrates me at times that yes, he's not the best finisher in the world, and there's elements to his game that aren't perfect. But he adds so much to our team with his movement, and particularly now that he's two roller coasters either side of him.
Jonathan, did you see that I think it was the Hoffenheim director of football or somebody from the club came out and said that they actually found Firmino on Football Manager?
Really?
Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah, they did.
That's incredible.
There's hope for everybody out there.
There is. So what you're saying was just a pot shot. Because I remember when that was one of the days, like we talk about transfers and stuff like that, and hearing the gossip weeks in advance. That was one transfer that kind of just seemed to come from nowhere when he joined.
Happened overnight, didn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
I tell you what, we had one the other way like that. One day I woke up and Morelos was gone.
Oh yeah.
It was like, where did that come from? He went to Chelsea, but it was literally like, is Torres going? Is he not going? Is he not going? Oh no, he's gone. Hang on.
Yeah.
There wasn't even any transfer rumours. He was just one day he was in a Chelsea shirt.
Yeah, but I just what strikes with me then is when Bobby for whether it was down to himself or a little bit of Rodgers not using him correctly, like he threw him around the place, like threw him wing back a couple of stages and all over the place. Never really played him in his proper position. But Klopp was straight away and was like, "Oh, I can't believe you guys managed to sign him. This guy's an incredible player." So
there was a feeling though that we overpaid at the time, because I think didn't Ian Ayre go out to America or somewhere? He flew out, or was it Brazil? He flew out somewhere.
Flew out to Brazil
really quickly, and like kind of just at the drop of a hat went bang, and it was done really quickly. He went out, and I think it's one of the few times we probably paid what was being asked.
Yeah,
there was a lot of question about that, wasn't there? Was that a Brendan Rodgers signing, or was it a Klopp signing? There was rumours that we were in talks of Klopp ages before the Rodgers thing, wasn't there? Do you remember?
Well, Klopp made it very clear as well, and Jonathan, you just hit the nail on the head. But he actually said that Dortmund had tried to sign Firmino on a couple of occasions, and he'd been on his radar for a while. So that, for me, almost fueled the fire of, was this a Klopp signing? Because it was done very suddenly and got him to the door. I know, conspiracy theory stuff now. I've got a tinfoil hat on. But no, it could well be, couldn't it? I mean, who knows? But it could well be if he's a player that he said he wanted and said, look, he's available, you get him, but you've got to pay this price now because I know that X, Y, and Z are interested. Maybe that was enough to get it across the line. In which case, they completely lied to Klopp and tricked him. Yeah, we can get deals done dead quickly. Watch, we'll do this one for you now. Then you sign the contract, and then we'll continue to do that for you forever.
I'll tell you what, Craig, I've got a little question for you as well. I know it's a little bit off subject, really, but we spoke a little bit about the Hoffenheim game. A player that's been like a new signing since January, and I've had a lot of people...
Don't say Milner.
No, I've had a lot of people on Twitter give me a lot of stick about this one because I stick up for him a bit. Simon Mignolet, does he deserve a bit more credit now?
No.
You want
really?
my honest answer?
Really?
Honest answer.
I hate the guy, but yes, he does. He does.
No.
He does.
No. No.
For me, he hasn't made a massive error, so that's a big plus. His shot stopping.
He's not good though.
No, he's not, but he's improved.
We would not have beaten Hoffenheim if it was not for Simon Mignolet that day.
I think that penalty would have hit a cardboard cutout, to be honest.
But how many goalkeepers would have dived one way or the other?
That's what I said.
Early.
That's what I said.
So Simon standing still is what makes him a worthwhile keeper.
Hang about. Simon Mignolet's got one of the best goalkeeping penalty save records in Liverpool history.
He's got 7 out of 20.
Yeah, he knows. And actually, it's not just that penalty save. I was more impressed with the save from Serge Gnabry. When Gnabry took the ball down his chest past Matip and was, 12 yards out.
He blasted that, didn't he?
Yeah, and Mignolet came out and made himself big.
He did. It was a good save.
For me, again, I think coming towards the end of the season, I thought Mignolet was crucial again. I feel like he gets a lot of stick on Twitter and everything else. And I'm at Anfield quite often, and Jonathan will tell you, the amount of times he goes to get the ball from the crowd and they're going, "Oh, you fucking helmet, you dickhead." And I think, do you know what? Meant to get behind him. I know it's not easy. He had a bit of a rough ride, but actually, the last 8 months he's been at this club, he's been crucial.
I think
he has been.
What gets me about Mignolet is that the amount of transfer windows that we've had that we could have got rid of him and got.
Well, we tried to get a young, feisty German goalkeeper who's more concerned about his hair.
We should have done that, but then we should have also went out and got a 34, 35-year-old keeper with experience and not fucking Alex Manninger.
What about Alex?
Oh my God. Manninger. Look, if Karius's goalkeeping skills were as good as his Instagram account, we'd be winning the league. But the point is, Simon, for me, we got the best out of Simon Mignolet towards the back end of last season when he had someone challenging him for his shirt.
But if Simon Mignolet has a better defence in front of him, does it make him even better?
No, but still can't kick.
No, it makes the defence better.
Yeah. The problem with Mignolet is that he has a certain standard. He's like your 6, 7 out of 10 keeper.
It's called bog standard.
We're here, you're here all night. But like
I'm here all fucking week.
and I'll talk all week, but the style of football we play, you need to have a keeper that is excellent with the ball at his feet and is excellent coming forward and sweeping, because we have such a high press, we have such a high line.
Very true.
And it's just getting the ball coming back to him and whipping it left, whipping it right, which is like if you could just get the clone. I know we said it many times of Mignolet's basic skills, shot stopping in the air, etc., and just put that into Karius's body, then we have the perfect keeper.
Can you imagine, Jonathan, a prime Pepe Reina?
Pepe Reina would be just amazing in our system. Absolutely amazing. He's everything that we need right now, because he was excellent with the ball on his feet. He could start attacks. He used to love coming out. He could read the play very well.
He could sort out a fucking defence.
I still remember that ball he did for, I think it was Alberto Riera.
Against Aston Villa, wasn't it?
He like pings it straight over the top. It goes right over his shoulder, just lands on his boot, and he just guides it into the top corner.
And one of the things I always remember about Pep is when Nagog scored against United in the Cop End.
Yeah. He was the first one up there, wasn't he?
He
sprinted the full length of the pitch, yeah.
He got 2 assists that season, didn't he? He got the one for Albert Riera, and he got the one for the Senna's goal against Man United straight from the goal kick.
Yeah.
And
that one on the half bounce, that was nice.
He seemed to be breaking records every second week as well.
That's I seem to remember he did that running up the pitch thing again, if I'm not mistaken, when Ryan Babel scored that weird goal against Arsenal at that mental European night that we had.
Oh, he did. He did.
And Babel didn't seem like the whole crowd was just buzzing. Nobody had any voice left. Everyone's screaming like they've lost the plot. And Ryan Babel scores that goal, and I'll never forget his goal celebration. In fact, I messaged him about it taking the piss. He just kind of walked towards the cop a little bit, applauded a little bit, and then just looked uncomfortable. Like he realised he's the only Liverpool player up there, and if there aren't people holding his hand showing him how to celebrate, he has no idea what to do. And the next thing, Pepe Reina's ran the full length of the pitch and is now riding his back towards the corner flag.
He went full on Lucas Leiva. Right, that's just 2 more things I want to go through. I want to ask the 3 of you guys really quickly, because often at times on Twitter we're all accused of, we're pigeonholed into either being FSG in or FSG out. It seems that some people feel that you have to be one way or the other. There seems to be no in the middle. So I want to go around and ask the 3 of you, what are your feelings? Your honest feelings on the stewardship of them as the club over the past, is it 7 years now? Jonathan, you're probably the most rational person here, so I'll come to you first.
It's a very good point which you've made. I don't think you have to have a label either way. It would make an irrational decision. They've done some things good. They've done some things bad. It's a mixed bag really with them. What kills me is particularly, now I'm not meaning to poke people or anything like that, and I don't mean any disrespect of it, but some people, particularly on the no campaign, ruin any sort of logic that I would like to give them by just going on doing everything the wrong way, just presenting facts wrong, getting caught up in ideas. They would be a lot more beneficial to their own cause if they come at it at a different angle, because there's times hysteria kicks in, and if they'll pretty much go, both sides, like something would happen, and they go, isn't this awful, why didn't you do that? And then the other thing happens and you go, well, you should have done this, you should have done that. It has to be taken with a logical approach. The next couple of weeks in the transfer window is key. It really is, because if Coutinho was to leave and we don't get a couple of the big targets, not only will all the supporters be cheesed off, but Klopp is going to be cheesed off, and if we lose Klopp, we're going to be in absolute carnage. There's some things I admire the way they do. Commercially, they have taken us from a level where we were miles behind all the bigger teams. They're slowly getting us now. I know you can argue at times that haven't always done the right approach, but you can't deny, like, go to Anfield quite a lot and just look at the difference. Even the last 2 years, to the whole surroundings, to the new stand, and not just that, just the whole vibe around the area. They have made some good improvements. Commercially, they've pushed us on a bit. Off the field is still a mixed bag. They've made a lot of mistakes in the transfer windows. Nobody will ever doubt that.
What about their style, Jonathan, of the way they go about transfers?
Their style, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan at all. But what I would say is they're shrewd businessmen, and shrewd businessmen will try their damnedest to avoid paying anything. If there's a shortcut, they will take it. And I mean that in terms of negotiations, like everyone goes on in their money balls, why don't they just pay the money up? But as I kind of touched on earlier, I think in terms of their style with transfers, especially with transfers, they were kind of fed a red herring with FFP. I think if FFP had been implemented, we're having a total different conversation right now.
And last
Because
point,
even
sorry, go ahead.
sorry, I'll just make one point quickly. If FAP was in place, Neymar doesn't leave Barcelona, and none of this Coutinho nonsense happens right now, and there's a total different mindset on the whole outlook of everything Liverpool at the moment.
I can't disagree with you about them buying the club on the pretense that they thought FFP was going to be fully enforced, and that their plan probably would have been to do, as you just said, increase the commercial aspects of the club to make what Klopp and what they could spend more in line with the top clubs. But as you said, sadly it hasn't been enforced. But the last thing I wanted to ask you, Jonathan, was, is the last couple of weeks of this window going to have any bearing on how you view FSG in the long term?
Yes, unfortunately, yes, because this, at the end of you wind yourself back to the Middlesbrough game. Everyone left on a high, and the whole message that was put through the PR spin that was leaked into the media and all around, there was this talk. We joked a lot about this war chest, and everyone, we spoke at length on many pods, both on and off pods, of how this was going to be such a huge summer for us for making that next step, to go from fourth pretty much to spending wisely and to go on a title challenging campaign, shall we say. At the moment, what? 3 signings: Salah, Solanke, and Robertson. So you're talking really one big signing that we've got so far, and 2 kids really. It's not good enough. It really isn't good enough. Somebody had a very good tweet the other day. We're 1 injury away from having Klavan back in the team again.
It's a scary thought, isn't
it? That is a very scary thought. I'd put Phil's minion on the team before Klavan right now. Yeah, look. And it will. It's come down to the last 2 weeks. I would have loved to have the business. I think everybody would have loved to have the transfers wrapped up before now, and Klopp would have had these players in Germany for his big training camp, and they would be totally skulled, because even if we do get a big signing the last couple of weeks, it's going to take them a little while to adjust. And we're almost doing the Arsenal approach now, where we wait for Champions League qualification and then we go spend their money and just splash a bit recklessly, run around like a guy doing Christmas shopping on Christmas Eve, just run around the place, trying to find what they need, and then
like Barcelona, some might say.
Yeah, a little, but for me, it strikes to Arsenal. Remember the window they got? Was it Arshavin, and who else did they buy? They bought Benayoun on loan. They went mad. They had a similar story. They got the Champions League qualifier, the bad start of the season, and then they just splashed a load of money last minute. That's not the situation where you want to be, because everyone panics, and when you have panic, that just leads to impulse decisions, and big decisions like that, both in terms of a sport and a financial aspect, should be done with lots of thought and thinking. So really, what we're doing now is we're trying to scramble a deal with Van Dijk. Keita, there's mumblings back and forth, a couple of maybe other options, but nothing concrete. And we'll have to see, because 2 weeks, yes, to answer your question, massive 2 weeks. It will determine my view of FSG.
Arron, what about yourself? What's your views?
On FSG, really tough one, if I'm honest. It's probably one of the hardest questions you could probably ask a Liverpool fan, really. He's quite impartial with it all. I agree with Jonathan. You look at the ground, when you go to the ground all the time, it's absolutely stunning. We've got a fantastic main stand. I look back to what we've had, Hicks and Gillette. Don't need to say anything else really on that, do I? But they did save us as such at that point. I know a lot of people argue that, but they did. It's really tough. I think the next 2 weeks in the transfer window are huge. Everybody knows that. And this is where we'll start to see we all know that people own clubs for businesses. I get that. But it's how much of it is also how much success you want out of it. So we all hear about the other club that he has, obviously with Fenway, and they have the Red Sox thing they had, didn't they? It's one of them. And they look like they thoroughly enjoy making sure that they're a successful team over there. And I think that's one of the things that irks Liverpool fans a little bit, is we want success here. We deserve success here, really. How much do you want that to happen as well? And I agree, signing, let's be honest, the only real signing we've made, I know we've got Solanke, he could turn out to be crucial, but we don't know yet. Same with Robertson, not in the matchday squads, clearly not fit, is what I'd probably say. Salah's been fantastic, great bit of business. Would we have signed him after this Neymar deal had happened? Would we have forked out 78 million? We'll never know. Because that's what I think I'd say he'd probably be worth now. you'd be looking at the 60, 70 million mark, wouldn't you? I think really it's too hard for me. I'm going to sit on the fence. No, it sounds bad. I don't know, but the next 2 weeks is crucial, and yes, it will again for me. It will view to me whether they want this to be just a business and to make it profitable for themselves, or it will show me that they actually have the fans at heart and they want to be successful on this journey with us as much as we do. That's probably the best way it could be summed up.
I think that's pretty fair, and that's what I think the situation a lot of people are in, Aaron. Phil, I left you till last on purpose because I know you will look at this more from a business perspective, from business point of view, it being your background as such. So let's hear what you have to say.
I don't like FSG, and for a very different reason to a lot of reasons other people don't like FSG. Jonathan absolutely hit the nail on the head before about FFP. I also do not deny that main stand is stunning. The rejuvenation of the ground and the areas around the ground have been good. I mean, it's not a secret that inside for many years has been
still can't get a fucking sausage roll worth of shite though.
Oh, don't you start.
Well, actually, they are making some weird food now. I think I had like a Thai green curry and chips last time I was there, but
Jack has a pizza box, no?
No, there was a big queue. I don't like waiting. So I went for the Thai food that no one wanted, and I didn't want it the next day. But we'll leave it at that. No, but the part of my thinking is that has been done to make it easier to sell the club. I think the second FFP didn't come into force, the wheels were put in motion to bring the sale of the club forward. I mean, effectively, they were nothing more than a venture capitalist anyway. They saw an opportunity. They bought into the club. They come out with all the rhetoric of, we're here for the long term, we're here for the long term. Well, it's the same usual bollocks, isn't it? Again, Jonathan, I agree with you a lot tonight, but you mentioned the PR spin. That's all that is. Of course they're going to sell. They're going to sell the club. And they're going to sell the club for a hefty profit. People have asked me recently, when do I think they're going to sell? Do I think they'll sell to this Chinese consortium that apparently interested? I have no idea. I know the Chinese have got a lot of money. I do a fair bit of business over there, and I know that they are investing heavily into a lot of businesses in the UK. In fact, I was at a conference recently where one of their top government ministers was saying there is money available to buy British businesses because they've signed a death warrant with some political decisions, which we won't go into. But I don't think FSG will sell until Anfield Road is redeveloped. I think at that point we can start to expect a bit of a bidding war, which again is a little bit scary because you think to yourself, well, if they haven't got footballing at their heart whilst they're our owners, they're not going to have footballing at the heart when they sell us. They're going to sell to the highest bidder, which may or may not be a good thing for us, but time will tell about that. I'm not going to worry about something that's a few years down the line yet, but
it's just a couple of points I wanted to make on what you've talked about there. And the first thing I'd ask is, if somebody's buying a club to make us more valuable, which is entirely plausible and most probably true, would it not make us more valuable again to be successful on the pitch?
No, you'd be surprised.
To increase the brand value around the world.
No, they are increasing the brand value around the world. I mean, I think the money that would come from winning the Premier League isn't actually anything to get that excited about.
Well, there's a lot of fans around the world, especially in new markets like Asia and stuff, who are, let's be blunt about it, glory hunters. There's nobody in China that had even heard of Leicester City.
True, but wait, just to think about from this perspective, yes, you are absolutely right. But how much money would you need to invest in the squad to get them to a point where they're winning those level of trophies? Whereas actually what they can continue to do is buy players at a pretty discounted rate. I mean, I know he's only just signed and it's going to be a miserable thing to say, but Salah, you telling me we're not going to make a profit on Salah when we sell him in a couple of years? Of course we are. Look at the price we pay for him. We will make a profit on him. We're making a massive profit on Phil Coutinho. 8.5 million bought, and we're going to sell him for over 100 million. Ultimately, they are a business, and I don't like the way they do business. I've had some dealings with them in a business setting, and I've made my feelings as a Liverpool fan pretty clear, given the reputation that they have with other clubs, given their attitude towards things. They're just very risk averse. They're very grey area, sit on the fence, and that doesn't win trophies. As much as I dislike them, City and Chelsea are prime examples of that. Of just, you want it, go get it. Real Madrid do it. You want it, go get it. Buy it, win the trophies, celebrate your success, world success, everybody loves you, and away you go. I don't see our owners having that fight. I don't see them having that drive. And more importantly, I don't see them having that motivation. That is not why they're in this sport. That is not why they own Liverpool Football Club. And I can't see them suddenly changing their behaviour. And the question you asked to Jonathan earlier, I've got a much more definitive answer. No, the next 2 weeks will not change my opinion on FSG. They could sign 5 top-class players and I would still be frustrated about the stuff that they've done before. I'd be chuffed about the squad and I'd be excited for the season, but it wouldn't change my opinion on them as owners.
And the last thing I wanted to say to you was in regards to any future owners, it's probably going to be, as you said, a consortium or a hedge fund or something along those lines, maybe a government-backed fund.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I have to be honest really worries me, because these type of things are very market-driven, and if the economy of that country or the stock exchange or whatever it may be falls and plummets, then there's a fire sale. So I think to a degree, I agree with what you say. I don't think they're going to care who they sell to. I really think they're going to just sell for the highest price. So this is the part that worries me the most. Whilst I'm of the view that they're probably 6 out of 10 owners, some things right, some things wrong, like Jonathan, I'm also firmly waiting to see what happens in the last 2 weeks. But I'm worried about what might happen if they sell in the future, because I don't think there is an Abramovich or a sheikh out there that's going to stroll in and buy it because he wants a pet project or he suddenly loves the club. So what do you think about that?
No, I like that, and I hear what you're saying. I just part of me, which is weird for me because I'm not usually the optimistic one, part of me, yes, recognises the risk, but from the consortium, particularly the areas that are looking at us, so using China as an example, I know the Middle East are looking at us, but I don't know a great deal about business in the Middle East, so I wouldn't want to embarrass myself by pretending otherwise. I know a little bit, but not a great deal. But China is a prime example. China would do exactly what you've just said, which is they would want the international success. They would want to break into the Chinese market, and they know the way to do that is to get the glory hunters and go and win something big. Go and win the Premier League, go and win the Champions League. And they know that, and they know that they will have to invest in sales to get there. And for a market that size, that makes perfect sense, because you could comfortably go and spend 100, 200 million on a squad and buy 3 or 4 top players to come into the squad that could drive us forward and win that stuff. And that would be a sensible business decision for them. There's always the risk of a financial crash, as you said, and what happens to it then. We would be at risk, of course we would, and we'd probably be at more risk than we are now, but not a massive amount. I still think if there was another crunch in the West, for example, and the States were hit hard and the UK was hit hard and Europe and everything else, I still think FSG would be looking to get out, and there'd be a quick fire sale. In fact, what's the difference anyway? They tend to sell our best season and the best player once a season anyway. How would we know the difference? No, I don't know. I really, 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 really hope, and I will gladly, and I'll say this online so everyone's got it, I will gladly apologise if I am proven wrong to FSG. I just don't see it. I just don't.
Well, lads, I appreciate your honesty over what's a kind of divisive subject on something that we're often all accused of being one way or the other on, so it was really good of you to open up about it. But there's one quick last question before we go tonight, and it's from Daryl Hudson, and it's a bit more optimistic maybe. And he wants to know, please discuss if you think there'll be any more signings before the window closes. So we'll be real quick on this one. And Arron, I'll come to you first. Are you expecting many in? And how many roughly would you like?
Sounds awful. I've lost faith in it all, if I'm honest. I've got to the stage where I think, because I've been waiting for 2 months now, really, I can't see any happening. I just think it's too late. You're going to either rush deals or you'll end up buying players that aren't technically right for you. I'm just not 100% sure. Ideally, I'd like two or three. I'd like another centre back. I'd like another midfielder. Pretty 2 midfielders, if I'm honest. Looking at obviously Lallana being out for 3 months. There's talks of Seri. I would have really liked Seri to come from Nice. Really would have liked that. I thought it would have been a great deal. But again, 40 million euros is the buyout clause. Are Liverpool going to go and do that? I just can't see it. Honestly, I'd like 3. Realistically, I think we'll get none, 1 at the most.
Thanks for pissing all over me cornflakes.
That's supposed to end on a high.
Jonathan, please give me some good news. What do you think? Are we going to sign a couple of players in this mad last 14 days?
I hope so. My personal opinion is if we keep hold of Phil Coutinho, that is not Minion. I would settle with 2 signings.
You'd settle for, but would you expect those 2?
Would I expect those 2? I think we'll still get 2.
Are we talking about the 2 that we've been talking about all summer, or?
I think 1 and maybe another option for midfield.
Interesting. And last word to you, Phil.
You want me to end on a cheery note, or you want me to end on an honest note?
Oh, I just want you to say if you think we're going to sign anybody else.
Yes, I do. I think we will sign somebody else. I just don't think we'll sign as many as I would like us to sign. I think realistically, I'd quite like to see 3. Maybe 4 would get me extremely excited. Not in a sexual way, but it would get me extremely excited.
I would. Don't lie.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Okay. Yeah, that's my secret. That's an off-air secret. You're not supposed to tell that. Same as the Minion. But I think we'll probably get 1. I think we'll probably push hard for 2, and we'll end up with 1. And I think that 1 is probably Van Dijk, which I will be very excited about. It still won't be considered a good summer. I think got to keep Phil and Van Dijk. You wouldn't be depressed. You'd be pretty happy with that, provided Phil sorts his attitude out, which I'd like to think he would. Phil goes and you sign Van Dijk, you've got to consider that a really bad summer. And Van Dijk's a great player, but you've got to consider that a bad summer. And if Phil gets sold and we don't sign Van Dijk or Keita or someone, I am genuinely going to leave Twitter for several weeks.
Do you promise?
I'm going to go live in the desert by myself and just hope that the apocalyptic war has ended by the time I come back.
Right, lads, I'm going to be the optimist here. I think that we're going to move out at least 3 bodies between now and the time the window closes. And I think we're going to bring in 2. But the 2 that we want, I still think, call me an eternal optimist, but I still think we're going to get Keita and I still think we're going to get Van Dijk. That's based on absolutely no information at all. Just maybe blind optimism. But I am very, very pessimistic on Coutinho. And I haven't mentioned Coutinho from my standpoint for the whole pod. I'm of the mindset that once somebody puts in a transfer request, it's time to say goodbye, whether we want to as a club or not, because his heart clearly is somewhere else. But look, that's just me. But I still think it's going to be a good window. I still think we're going to get in a couple of players. The squad will be improved. We're still going to win the league. We're still going to win the Champions League. Fuck the Europa League. Up the Reds. Lads, I'm going to leave it there tonight. Huge thanks to Phil, to Jonathan and to Arron for joining me. Thanks to you guys for listening. We'll be back on Saturday after the match for an off the cuff show. Thanks again to Pain Solutions Lim.co.uk for being our sponsors, and enjoy your day. Bye bye.